You're 3 days from your first payout and you've done everything right. And some part of you is about to throw all of it away. There's a specific moment in every trader's month where they're getting close to a payout and they build up this narrative in their mind about what they're about to receive from a prop firm or from their broker and what they could do with this money. How they could alleviate certain pains in their life or certain debts or certain bills, or how they could create certain pleasures in their life by buying something nice for themselves or for their family or for their partner, or going on a holiday or buying a new watch or buying X, Y, and Z. And a trader builds up this fixation on getting a payout because they're thinking about how that payout could help alleviate certain pains and stresses in their life or create more pleasures and new pleasures in their life. And that's the exact moment a trader starts to tighten up. And they notice themselves trading differently, making different decisions, a little bit more fearful in the markets, a little bit more impulsive in the markets. Now, there's a certain mechanism that most traders fall into, which leads to self-sabotage before a payout every single time. I'm going to explain why it is you tend to self-sabotage before the payout. The first part of this mechanism is that fixation. It's that idea in their mind where they could see and they could smell and they can taste the payout about to come that month, and they build up and dramatize the narrative in their mind about that payout being able to alleviate pains and create pleasures. And they contextualize the payout in their life and they give the payout greater meaning in their life, the perception of bringing more pleasure or alleviating certain pains. And that creates the fixation on that payout. That also creates a great deal of pressure because now the trader, when they become infatuated with that idea of receiving a payout to alleviate certain pains and bring new pleasures to their life, it creates a pressure to not lose or miss out on that payout. The greater the degree of the pleasure they think they're going to receive from the payout, the greater the degree of pressure. Because with that desiring of the pleasurable payout, it creates a fear of loss. It creates a fear of losing that payout, a fear of missing out on that ability to alleviate certain pains in their life, the fear of missing out on all the pleasures they think they're going to get from that particular payout. That narrative they've built up in their mind now creates a great pressure and a fear of losing that particular narrative, and that's exactly what the tightening up feeling is as a trader. That's exactly why just before we're about to get a payout, we start acting differently. We trade more out of fear and greed as opposed to sticking to our process and our plan and doing what got us to that level of profit in the first place. So what traders don't realize is that when they're self-sabotaging right before the payout, the reason they're sabotaging is to get rid of the pressures and the fear state. Because no trader wants to trade from a pressure state. No trader wants to trade in fear. So the sabotage is really whatever the trader feels like they need to do consciously or unconsciously to alleviate that fear or to alleviate that pressure. And if traders are being really honest with themselves, because of the fixation, if they were actually able to get that payout, that would create and polarize an enormous amount of fear of loss of that and pressures to repeat that and expectations to repeat that. And for a lot of traders, that's just too much. So when traders say deep down they really, really want a payout, and they verbalize that on a conscious level, really what they're saying on an unconscious level is they don't want to deal with that payout and they're fearful of getting that payout, and there are unconscious discomforts of having that payout if their life doesn't demonstrate they have the payout. So the pain we experience from sabotaging our payouts right before we receive them is helping traders break their fixation and their infatuation with the payout. The greater the degree of the fixation and the attachment to that payout and the infatuated narrative they build up in their mind receiving that payout, the greater the pain when the trader inevitably sabotages as a way to act as a counterbalancing force to that fixation and break the trader's attachment and fantasy and infatuation with what they think they're going to get from that payout. And the traders who get payouts consistently aren't the traders that are trying to get payouts. They don't get payouts because they're forcing their trading to get a payout. They get a payout as a result of great process. They get a payout as a result of sticking to their process over a large sample space without being focused on the outcome of the individual trade. So what I encourage traders to do is to use the fixation and the elation at this state of what you think you're going to get from a payout and that fantasy and that elating feeling as the very feedback and flag That self-sabotage is inevitably on the way to remove the pressures and expectations there. So whenever you feel elated about a potential payout in the future, to take that opportunity to see that feedback and to ground whatever you think you're going to get from that payout. And to remind yourself of some of the drawbacks of receiving payouts from the market. And some traders aren't willing to look at the drawbacks and disadvantages of receiving payouts. And they remain infatuated with a payout, and they remain in the cycle of self-sabotaging right before that. So I encourage traders to have a balanced perspective to receiving payouts. Payouts at times from the market can drive resentment to a stable and secure job, and they can train traders into thinking that they're going to consistently pull payouts at the market and start resenting their security and guaranteed income from their work, and pull them away from their lifeline and their income from work. Payouts can push traders into pride, where they exaggerate their own ability, they don't adapt to the market because they're not as open and teachable, and they inevitably force low quality setups into the market and they get humbled. There are drawbacks and consequences to payouts as well, and it's important to see both sides of payouts, the pleasures and the pains you're going to receive from a payout. So you can build your financial structure and your ecosystem in a wise way that you're able to sustain long term and have a job there momentarily that you're getting your guaranteed income from, all the while you're building your payouts from your trading to prove to yourself your strategy works. You're taking portions of those payouts, building personal accounts, building cash reserves, etc., and building a proper environment. The more fixated a trader is with the idea of this positive outcome from a payout is an indication they're not ready for those payouts. It's also an indication they're going to have certain fears and pressures and unwanted states that they're going to attempt to get rid of through a form of unconscious sabotage. So it's important to have a balanced perspective on your payouts and to ground the ideas and the fantasies we have associated around payouts and the narrative we build up when we're about to receive payouts. And I encourage every single one of my traders to watch the Bulletproof Your Trading Mindset training and utilize the free tool that comes with it. There's going to be a QR code that pops up on your screen, which you can scan, or you can go into the link in the description, put your name and email in that and download that. I encourage every trader to utilize that. And that's going to help implement this framework to identify when you're fixated with a certain outcome and to ground that in real time so you can see it for what it is, so you don't find yourself sabotaging right before payouts, and so that you stick to your process and your trading strategy and your trading plan. And if your trading plan truly has an edge, you'll reap the rewards of that edge over a large sample space. You'll reap the rewards, the payouts, as a result of sticking to your process long term. So that's how I encourage traders to do it. That's what I've seen consistently work with traders, and that's why I encourage you to do. Traders, if you got one new insight from this video, make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. And before you click away, I want you to watch the video that's going to pop up on your screen here. 6 years of trading psychology research put into one video for you. Enjoy it and let me know what you think.